Hello, hello, and let's get started. Our focus today is going to be on interview, specifically pageant interview in the Miss America system. All right, so how many by show of hands, right? This is our favorite phase of competition. Now, for some of you, that is not the case at all, but I am here to help you today, and hopefully by the time we are done with this conversation, you will be anticipating your next pageant interview. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about interview, which sounds terrifying. Interrogate, right? What are they going to ask me? What if I can't answer the question? I mean, most people fear public speaking more than death, so this is way up there on the phobias. Put you in front of a panel of people, let them ask whatever they want, and how are you supposed to walk in and be calm and cool and collected and just be yourself when literally your knees are knocking together under your beautiful interview suit, okay? So we're gonna get into all of that. These are completely reasonable and normal questions, but speaking of questions, if you do have questions, I want to make sure they get answered. So would you please put in the comments any questions that I do not get to today? Hopefully I'll get to most of them as we go through this conversation, but we are going to spend the next 45 minutes together. So please grab a snack, grab some water, a fidget if you need one, and if you have a pen or a notepad, something you prefer to use to take notes on, please grab that as well so you've got it handy in case there's anything that comes up that you want to jot down. Okay. I want to get started by being completely honest with you, all right? Pageant competition is all-consuming. It is overwhelming. It is confidence shaking in the very best way. It's uncomfortable, and you are going to be better for it on the other side. But in the interim, as you are going through all the things, it is going to be a roller coaster of emotions, and that is completely normal, all right? So put your friends and your family on notice. You will not be the girl that they have known you to be until we get to the other side of this, and then you will be an even better version of the young woman that they have come to know you to be. That's the best part about pageant. All right, secondly, I want you to get your head straight about one thing that we need to address before we go any further with regard to pageant competition. The women that you are competing with are not your competition. You are your own competition. You are responsible for bringing your best self to competition weekend. She's gonna do her thing, let her do her thing. And at the same time, the two of you can still be friends. Ultimately, if you do pageant competition right, you will find the path to personal growth and development is one that you can walk simultaneously with other women. You are all destined for different things in this life. So you're gonna share this season, you're gonna share this experience, and you're gonna share this pageant journey, but you're all going to dissipate when this is over to do different things, and that's okay. So compete against your own best self and not against the woman next to you. There's an old saying, high tide raises all ships. So when you rise with this organization, don't be sucked into other pettiness or competitive solitude. Some women isolate when they get really focused and really competitive. Don't let that be you, okay? Challenge yourself to grow. Recognize that you may well need the woman next to you in a high, tense moment, high emotion, tense moment, and she will be the one to pull you up. She will be the one to push you forward. She may be the one to fluff your gown, or she may be the one to wipe the lipstick off your teeth. But you better make sure that you link arms with her today on this journey so that it is a much easier journey for both you and your sisters as you become friends. Now, this will be foundational for the empowerment that you will feel at the end of this experience. So make your sisters your friends. They are not your competition. You are in this thing together, and you are going to have a great experience together depending on how you choose to invest in one another, all right? So I'm gonna tell you a quick story, all right, about my first pageant experience. Oh, going way back in the books, all right? Especially the interview, right? So first, let's look at the external. Breann walks inside the interview room in a hot, itchy, wool interview suit. Now, it was November, granted, right? My mom helped me pick out this interview suit. It was very proper, very buttoned up. I had the posture and carriage of a gazelle that was about to be eaten by a lion, right? Knees knocking together, deer in the headlights, terrified, as I stood in front of a music stand that was placed to be our podium, okay? My opportunities that I was thinking about beyond winning the crown were non-existent, right? I was focused on winning. I needed to win this thing. And the reason I needed to win is because I wanted that scholarship. It wasn't much, but I had written far too many essays and submitted them as a faceless entry to receive zero response. I was in my second year of community college and I needed scholarship money to finish a 4-year degree. I did not know how I was going to get to that 4-year degree unless I won this scholarship by winning this pageant. I needed to win. I wanted influence in my community, but I had no idea what I would do with it. I knew the local title holder had responsibilities, but I didn't know what that meant for me if I was the one to step under that crown. Thinking about goals? Oh, once I won, I didn't know what I would do. I had no plan. My service initiative was just sort of loosely developed. I didn't have a marketing strategy. I didn't have a personal brand. I had no plan to promote the Miss America organization for the next 365 days. I just really had no goals around this. My focus was really completely on winning. And in terms of my communication skills walking into this thing, I mean, mediocre at best, right? I never interviewed under pressure like this. I had never spoken on stage and to a room full of people. In my job, I worked at a local retirement community. I gave salad options to the residents at dinner, but I knew I had a strong vocabulary, okay? I love to read, avid reader. My family would have political discussions and current event discussions around the dinner table some nights, so at least I had some things there that I could draw upon. I certainly could not make a presentation without reading a speech, and my interpersonal communication skills were basically zilch. I got nervous. I didn't know the art of small talk. And so I just, I wasn't ready from a communications perspective really in any way at all. And finally, let's talk about walking in with a talent. At least I knew that I had one, and it had entertainment value, I thought, and I had grown up dancing, but I'd been away from it for a few years, and really I was just looking forward to the opportunity to perform. It was better than sitting behind a computer and writing yet another essay for a scholarship application. So here I am walking into this room with this sort of backstory going on, right? And I vividly remember all of my judges, the 5 individuals sitting at the table. One was a retired U.S. Marshal. One was a retired Marine turned high school principal. One was a former Miss Washington who had become an educator. And one was a local high-profile businessman. So, and then we had one more that was a volunteer from another local program in the state, and that person had an arts background. So one thing I'll just point out is you might consider getting to know your judges before you walk inside the interview room. It's important to at least read their bios in the program book and look them up on social media if you get the opportunity, because know that they're looking at you and their questions are going to come from their area of interest and expertise, and you'll be able to understand them a bit better by looking them up ahead of time and sort of thinking about, oh, this person's in education, and so they might have some questions for me around education, or oh, my service initiative is about serving veterans, and this individual is a veteran, so maybe they'll ask me something around my service initiative, okay? So if you know the judges a little bit based on their bio and you've looked at them before they start looking at you, then maybe you'll have a little better sense of where those questions might start to come from. All right, so here I am, nervous, knees knocking, deer in the headlights, walking into this interview room, hot, itchy suit, right? And I am pushing through this interview process. I am getting questions on all manner of topics. I am languaging things like I have never languaged before. And when it concludes, I step out of the room and I am absolutely euphoric because it's over. I had no idea, right? I had no idea. I mean, it was rough. I was rough. But you know what? I love that 19-year-old version of myself that pushed through and did my best, even though I just really had no idea what I was doing. I'm sure that interview was cringe-worthy, but I am so proud of that girl at 19 who went in and did it and pushed through for the very first time. And more than that, I love that she stuck with it until she could truly relax into her own authenticity and understand the weight and responsibility of the job I was actually applying for, right? And then start to get traction for my communication skills. So then when I really started to get it figured out, that's when the judges started to take notice and pay attention, right? People started to pay attention. And today I hold the title of the 50th anniversary Miss Seafair. I am a former Miss Washington. I'm a former Miss Washington USA. I've been a congeniality winner, an interview winner, and a swimsuit winner. So I want you to say to yourself, if at 19 she could push through that interview and do it, so can I. Now, I want to let you know, even though that first interview was rough, I did it. I won that pageant, and I won the $1,500 scholarship that went with it, and man, I was hooked. And I spent the next 4 years competing in scholarship pageants and earning those titles. I have worked with young women since 2004, developing communication skills. I'm a former director for the Miss Washington's Outstanding Teen Pageant from 2007 to 2011. I've been a judge at the local and the state level, and daily I have the privilege of guiding women through the process of growth and development, personal and professional, by teaching communication skills. So I'm also a mom, and I am a wife, and I have a darling son that I have the privilege of homeschooling. But enough about me. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about you, okay? You showed up here today. You are watching this video today because you want to grow through this pageant experience. Am I right? Okay. You want more than just the crown. You want personal growth. You want development, or you wouldn't be here spending this time learning more about what it is to be a pageant girl. All right. So I can help, and I'm going to support you on this journey by sharing with you all the things that I didn't know. All those things when I stepped into that room that I did not know, I'm going to share with you today, okay? So first of all, let's talk about the answer to this question. What is interview? All right, so factually, it's 8 minutes between you and 5 judges. Now, it may be more or less depending on what Miss America does in the season, okay? And for teens, sometimes it's less. Miss, sometimes it's more, but let's say it's a minimum of 8 minutes. It could be up to 10 minutes. It won't be more, all right? Between you and a panel of 5, or at the national level, 7 judges. You offer a 30-second opening related to your CSI, your service initiative, okay? And you're offered a 30-second closing statement. Now, at the time of this recording, that is the parameter that Miss America has set. She changes things, so we are flexible and gracious, and if there are changes, they might change the 30-second opening, they might change the 30-second close. You'll need to double check that before you get ready to step inside the interview room. Ask your judge's chairperson, okay? Just to verify that that is the case, all right? You're provided a score as you depart the room at the end of your time conversing with those judges, and that score is counted in your overall tabulation that then carries into the stage portion of your competition. Now, let's talk about, what are they scoring? Are they scoring if you answered the questions, all of them, 100% correctly? No. They are scoring your job readiness. They are scoring exercises, the process of going through the exercise of communicating, and how well did you actually communicate your readiness to be able to stand in front of an audience at a school, or stand in front of a group of people at a Kiwanis luncheon, or stand in front of a fun run that you're participating in as the title holder, and you have an audience an opportunity to address the audience and share something about the importance of participating in the event. How well do you communicate when someone offers you a topic, do you respond naturally? Are you easy to converse with? Do you draw people to you? Are there a lot of ums and uhs and ands and what do I say, right? They want to see that you are an effective communicator. That is the pertinent point in interview, okay? So I just want to press upon you about understanding the scoring, because this will give you a sense of peace when you start to question how you're investing your prep time and how you assess yourself, right? This is all self-awareness. So the scoring has been established to ensure that the right woman is selected. That's why we have a scoring system. You will be competitive in the Miss America system so long as you have prepared to do the job and play on this field, which means that you have to put in the work, okay? So then let's talk about, what does put in the work look like? What's the prep plan, Breann? Give me the prep plan. So here we go. If you understand the weight of the scoring percentages, and you look internally at yourself and you inquire thoughtfully about yourself, what are my strengths? What am I good at already? And then where do I need to grow my skills? Okay, you have a guide right there to help you know how and where to spend your time in your personal prep. Okay, so for example, speaking skills, current events, your fitness, right? Your nutrition and activity level in physical fitness. You're looking to become a spokeswoman for the American Heart Association, which is part of the Miss America platform. Okay, you need to consider their guidelines for heart health and apply them, right? Do you carry yourself like a Miss America, like a Miss Washington's teen, okay? So if you have areas in the scoring based on the percentages of the scoring that you're like, wow, I should work on improving my nutrition and my fitness as I prepare for pageant competition, because that's 20% of my overall score. You know, I'm not particularly confident in my speaking skills because I don't feel like I have a good grasp of what's going on in the world around me. So perhaps then you'd like to spend a little bit more time reading and exploring current events and having roundtable conversations with people who can inform and pour into you so that you feel more comfortable and more confident in those areas. So look at the scoring system as a means by which for you to self-examine. You know the areas that you need to work on, and now is the time to challenge yourself to actually do it, okay? To become the best version of yourself that you've ever known by the time you step off that stage on final night. Fight for her. Do the hard work as you get ready for competition, all right? So we've got a grasp now on the scoring. And I will let your director or your judges chairperson go into more detail about that with you. Or you can ask questions of me in the chat, and I'm certainly happy to respond there. But let's move on from this and look a little bit deeper. So much of the work that I do with contestants is about attitude and mindset. And those are established by how we think about things, right? How we context what this whole pageant thing really is, and then where we come down inside of it. So your success will be based largely on your ability to see the big picture. Now, what does that even mean? Okay, so pageant is just a vehicle, and that vehicle is taking you to a point that you want to get to, right? You're not competing against anyone except yourself, okay? The judges are not comparing contestant against contestant. They judge the young woman standing in front of them based on the merits of what she does in the moment, all right? You've decided to step into this arena, and it's going to challenge you, all right? How you respond, how you react to circumstances, to the environment around you, to people, your sister contestants, the volunteers, right? It's going to require maturity. It's going to require graciousness and flexibility, all right? So use this vehicle that is pageant as you go along this journey of becoming Miss Title Holder, not because the crown and the banner at the end are the thing, but it's all of this experience that you have along the way that is shaping you and molding you and challenging you to become the best version of yourself. So when you get down the road and you arrive at the destination, which is the final night of competition, your focus isn't on, I have to win, but instead your focus is on, wow, look at how much I've grown through this experience. And whether the judges select you or not, that is a huge payoff in terms of knowing that you've done this thing right, okay? So I want to talk now about the 6 elements of the relaxed presence. Now, this is what I did not have walking inside that interview room the first time around, okay? I did not have a relaxed presence. I want you to feel comfortable, to be able to just let it all go, get comfortable in your own skin before you ever arrive for check-in at competition. So the first element of the relaxed presence is you like yourself externally. That means you like your hairstyle. You are not doing anything wild and crazy that you can't manage between phases of competition. You like the outfit that you chose for yourself, potentially not a hot, itchy wool interview suit button to hear that your mother picked out for you, but something that you like, something that you feel good in. Your nails are an appropriate length and they're not distracting, and you like the color that you chose. Your self-tanner is working in your favor. It's not blotchy. Or you have to like yourself externally, and there is no amount of me or mom or friends patting you on the back and telling you how amazing you are that your subconscious is ever going to buy unless you know intrinsically that you like yourself externally. You've pulled it all together, you've put it together to the best of your ability, and doggone it, you're happy with it. In fact, you're proud of it. You like yourself externally. You've done the good work, and here you are ready to show this off to your judges and to the audience and have a really great time. All right? So that's number 1. Number 2, your walk, your posture, your stature, the way you carry your body, those are emblematic of what we would expect from a title holder. Your shoulders aren't rolled in, your head's not dropping down here, right? When those things happen, the judges pick up on it. So you have to carry yourself with the confidence, with the power, with the authority of one who owns the room that you're walking into, all right? Number 3, you are focused. Focus. Focus is more than just the crown. I said that a moment ago. Focus is on the opportunities. What is this pageant bringing to me in terms of opportunities that are beyond the winning, right? It's not just the crown and the glamour and the banner and the winning, right? That will only put pressure on you. I have to win, I have to win. That is going to turn you inward and closed and does not align with the mindset of a leader. Leadership mindset looks at, wow, what can I take from this? And what can I learn from that? And what can I use from this experience, right? Because we are here for every aspect of this pageant journey, and we are going to embrace all of it, which includes what you will take from the pageant, but also, and more so, what you will give. What you will give. Because the truth of the matter is, you will get more than you give out of this competition, but you have to be willing to give something because you are preparing to be Miss Title Holder, and you are her every day in your leadership, which is much more than just simply trying to win the title. You are preparing to step under a crown of service, right? So what are you planning to give to the organization, and as a result, what are you preparing to take from the experience, right? That is the big picture, okay? Along with that, number 4, what are your goals? Your goals must be developed. Mine were not, right? We remember back, I had no idea what I was going to do with this title for 365 days. What were my goals? I don't know, right? Not impressive, not leadership. Your goals need to be developed, right? Defined in terms of what you will give to the job and what you will take away from the job. And this is delivered with passion and clarity, because largely this is going to be through your CSI, right? Your community service. And that ties back to the role of being Miss Title Holder, in which you will educate for a particular demographic, educate a particular group of people about a demographic that you are advocating for. And that advocacy is also educating people about the Miss America opportunity, of which you are a spokesperson. Okay, so we are going to educate through the problem that you are trying to solve with your service initiative, the negative impacts of if this problem doesn't get solved, these bad things happen in society, and the resolution. Hey, we can all work together on solving this problem. Would you like to join me in the work that I'm going to be doing as Miss Title Holder? Okay, so we are going to have these clear goals that we are taking into the interview room, into the competition, into the onstage question. And because those goals are clearly defined, we go, oh, I know exactly what I want to do in this job for the next 365 days. Let me tell you all about it, because your goals are clearly developed and clearly defined, all right? Your goals should also consider the big picture opportunities, so like the things that you're going to take. And if you're really thinking like a businesswoman and you're cultivating the networking, the connections, the professional opportunities, I mean, let's just be honest, there might even be dating opportunities, okay, that are available through the pageant that maybe wouldn't otherwise come your way, simply because the rooms that you're going to be able to walk into, the people that you're going to be able to meet, I mean, and that's not even as Miss Title Holder, right? That's just as a contestant at the state level. But if you're so focused on the crown, I have to win, I have to win, I have to win, you will miss so many of these other opportunities, which is why I'm warning you against over-focusing on winning now, okay? Let's talk about it now so we don't make that mistake later. All right, so multiply this to the state level, and I mean, now here we go. You're catapulting your college, your career. You are looking at all the doors that are going to be open to you. I mean, go ahead, girl. Think like a businesswoman and approach this in a business-like manner, okay? So that was number 4. Number 5, element of the relaxed presence is great communication skills. I mean, not mediocre, like spectacular communication skills. You have to know that you can communicate. And I'm talking not just about like, can you speak? I'm talking about interpersonal communication skills. Can you make other people feel like they are the only person, the most important person, the most intriguing person in the room? Do you know how to make small conversation with people so that when you show up in a crown and a banner, you set people at ease? You're not standing against the wall, checking your makeup, not talking to anybody, stand up. You have to have great interpersonal communication skills, great interview skills when you are sent out into the community to do a radio interview, a television interview, a podcast. You have to be able to draw people in and explain what the Miss America opportunity is all about. Are you laying the foundation and the groundwork in your speaking skills to be able to interview well in different social media types of settings? Okay, and then thirdly, you've got to have great extemporaneous speaking skills, which means if you get called up on stage to speak or someone wants to ask you questions, like you're comfortable speaking off the cuff without notes. You don't need a script. You don't need a speech. You can speak extemporaneously, which is really hard to do, hard to learn, but something you can master if you use the right tools, which of course I talk about in another video, which is the visualization game, which is where we do not rely on memorization, but instead we learn to use our mental pictures and our subconscious mind to drive all of our communication, all right? So number 5, great communication skills in order for you to be able to relax back into yourself and go, I've got this, I've got this, I know how to communicate, all right? And number 6, sixth element of the relaxed presence, this is for the Miss America system only, is because we have talent. You've got to be comfortable with that talent, right? Are you loving your talent from the standpoint of your ability to entertain with that talent? Now, your judges panel for the most part are not going to be adjudicating you on your professional technique in your performance art talent, okay? If you are doing a her story, your judges are going to be considering what is it that you are sharing with us from its ability to entertain, right? Do the judges want to see it again? Did it make them uncomfortable? Did it make them comfortable? Did it draw them in, right? These are the things that we're considering. You have to be comfortable with your talent. And if you've got that in play, then now we have the 6 elements of the relaxed presence. So why does all this matter for interview? Because it goes to your mindset. Goes to your mindset. You can't feel calm and confident and be yourself if your subconscious mind can't actually grasp the idea that you're ready. You're ready to be Miss Title Holder. All right? So we have to be relaxed in our presence to be confident in our ability to do the job, to be able to communicate verbally and non-verbally to those around us of our job readiness. Okay, so this is an exercise that you can do on your own time. I'm going to challenge you to think like a businesswoman and make or write or draw, whatever you choose, a presentation. You can use technology or you can do it by hand. Make a presentation. I challenge you to do this before competition. So this is an easy exercise, right, that you can do on your own. A 10-minute talk using this framework. I call this the CSI speech format, okay? Here it is. Your passion about your service initiative exists because there is a problem that you think needs to be solved. So number one, what is the problem? Address the problem in the first paragraph of your speech. And it helps if you have a statistic to kind of back it up from a persuasive standpoint. As an audience member, if I don't know anything about your service initiative and you tell me that this is a problem and you have a stat to sort of go, oh yeah, oh, that is a problem. Then you kind of grasp my attention. Now I'm starting to go, oh, I agree with her. Yeah, I can see how that's a problem. All right, so number one, state the problem. Next, the negative impacts. And you only need about 2 or 3 maybe negative impacts, but there's something about this problem that creates this sort of ripple effect or this trickle down where now it's impacting our society or members of society in these negative ways. And we just can't have that. Like there's something fundamentally wrong about those negative impacts. And so we need to give sort of specific examples of maybe 2 or 3 negative impacts that we can see socially, economically, environmentally, of whatever this problem is now causing, okay? And then we're gonna finally resolve whatever this is. Now you're one person, you have 365 days to solve this problem. You're not gonna be able to do it on your own, and more than likely you're not going to be able to make a whole lot of take a whole lot of ground on this issue, but chances are you can do 2 things. You can educate and you can advocate on behalf of the demographic affected by these negative impacts. And that work is worthy, okay? So the resolution is simply stating, as Miss Title Holder, I have already done these things and I am now going to do these things, and these things look like who you're educating, how you're educating them, and who you're advocating for, and how you're advocating for them. So I'm going to educate in this way, I'm going to advocate in that way, I'm going to partner up with these entities, and we're going to attack this thing, and hey, I'd love to have you on board with me in this too, because we can all make a difference by doing this thing. Now you go and work on a 10-minute presentation using that framework that is just that clear, and it doesn't matter what they ask you on stage on final night for your onstage question, you will have an answer for your CSI onstage question just because you took the time to go through that exercise. So I challenge you to do it, all right? Make that 10-minute presentation. I mean, you may never use that presentation. You may never go out and make that presentation somewhere, but giving you that really firm grasp on your CSI and your plan for engaging it in the community. I mean, if you're going to be in over your head, overwhelmed, and probably going to end up, making these 3 common mistakes that I'm going to tell you about next here as you go through this pageant experience. But in terms of feeling comfortable with a plan and your communication skills as part of that relaxed presence, this 10-minute presentation exercise could really help you avoid the 3 mistakes that we're going to get into right now, okay? Just because you've done some advanced preparation. And this is the prep plan, ladies. This is the prep plan, okay? So 3 mistakes that most contestants make. 95% of contestants make these mistakes. I've made these mistakes. I make these mistakes on a daily basis before I even walk into a room to do some of the things like prepare a video like this or speak in front of a group of people, okay? So it happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us, and we're just gonna avoid them, right? Okay, so first, don't put pressure on yourself. Oh, don't we do that, right? Oh, it has to be perfect. It has to be just so, start putting pressure on yourself. I have to win, right? Don't put pressure on yourself. That's the first of the 3 mistakes. What do these mistakes do? They turn you inward and self-focused. What happens when you go inward and self-focused? You lose the ability to put the focus on others. And when you lose the ability to put the focus on others, you start to disappear. You walk in the room and you're disappearing already. And the judges can't find you with a search warrant, right? You cannot put pressure on yourself. You will turn yourself inward and close. All right, number 2, you start to become concerned about the judgments that people are making on you. And when I say the people, I mean even the judges, right? Now, that may sound foolish, like, Breann, of course we're concerned about what the judges think of us. No, we're not. 5 people have a subjective opinion of what it is that you do during a 10-minute conversation. Then you have a very brief talent presentation, an even shorter fitness presentation, a snippet of an onstage question. These are flashes of moments in the vastness of who you are as a person. They know this much of who you are, and you're going to let them determine your worth by a number they put on paper? No, you're not. No, you're not. Don't you dare. We are not concerned about the judgments that other people are making on us. That's not why we're here. We're here to let our light shine, right? We're going to show up and be the very best version of ourselves. And, people think what they may. But this is who you are, and that's why we always want to bring the most authentic version of ourselves, because we're unconcerned about the judgments that other people are making on us, including those judges. Certainly, we want to have a great conversation with the judges. We want to enjoy the judges, but we are not concerned about their judgment upon us, because that will turn you inward and closed, right? That's that people pleaser syndrome that we all sort of contend with sometimes, when really the most attractive version of you is the best and clearest and sincerest version of you, not some version that you have conformed to be what you think the judges or the organization might want in a title holder this year. That would be false pretense. And that's not who we want to be. All right, number 3, we start to focus on things that are outside of our control. The schedule got changed. My mascara is running. My gown has wrinkles. I don't have time to steam them. Any number of things, right? Like my contestant number, I have no control over that. The lottery, my roommate, there's just so many things that happen inside of the microcosm of pageantry that we can't control. And so we can get ourselves real worked up about that, especially for those of us who are control freaks. And you just gotta let it go, girl. You gotta let it go. And if you don't, you're gonna derail yourself and turn yourself inward and closed. And we cannot have that during the pageant competition. What if Miss America got all worked up about things that were outside of her control when she went to an appearance, when she had to catch a flight, when her makeup artist didn't show up, when she's on day 5 of a hair wash, right? What if she got that is the kind of behavior that we do not expect from a title holder. We expect for you to be able to adjust and pivot and let it roll like water off a duck's back. And if you can do that, and it is an exercise in maturity, I promise you, it's hard. But if you can do that, you will avoid making that 3rd mistake, okay? So the 3 mistakes, what do we do when we start to feel those things coming on? We identify them, and then we just take it out. right? We just shift gears. Oh, I'm doing it. I'm making one of the 3 mistakes. And you may need to excuse yourself for a minute. I had a moment like that when I competed at Miss Washington, and I had to just take myself out of the situation and excuse myself, and our ladies director was kind enough to give me 15 minutes to pull myself back together. And I came back to the group and I pulled it back together, but I started to go. I started right off the rails. And when you feel that happening, when you sense that happening, you just need to identify, I'm making one of the 3 mistakes. I'm going to turn myself inward and closed. I got to get this thing, I got to right the ship. I got to get back on track. Okay. Don't make the 3 mistakes, and stay open and outward. Keep your focus on others. If you start to turn inward, you've lost that natural spontaneity, that spark that makes you so attractive. The judges won't be able to find you. Okay. All right. Let's look back. Let's look back now at the interview itself. That's where we started, okay? So what is interview? Factually, it's 8 to 10 minutes between you and 5 judges. But if you have the relaxed presence, you're way ahead of where I was, okay? You can shift your mindset now to seeing this as a conversation. Nobody's interrogating you. You're showing up to have a conversation, not a question and answer session, okay? That is the key difference here. Right? You are the expert on you. You know exactly how you feel. I don't need you to tell me what you think. I find you much more compelling if you can share with me naturally how you feel. All right, which is the essence of who you are. You are speaking your feelings and your heart knowledge, not speeching, right? Not speeching some pre-prepared, memorized, rehearsed thing that comes across flat and cold and boring, right? Now, you may wonder, what are they going to ask me inside this interview room? Well, where are the questions coming from? Okay, well, we already said the questions are going to come from the judge's field of experience and expertise. So that's why you want to read their bios and get to know them a little bit in advance. Okay, but the other place they're going to come from is your paperwork. What you're turning in for them to read in advance. They want to get to know you. So they've looked at your service initiative and your essay. They're looking at your fact sheet to see who you are. And then finally, they're going to ask some questions that are general interest. If you're a teen girl or a college age woman or a career woman, right, they're going to want to know about things that are of interest to the women of your age group. And what about what's going on in the world around you? They want to know how connected you are so that you are a role model for your peer group, right? And for those who are younger than you as well. And so they'll want to ask you some general interest and current event questions to see if you're well read, to see if you're familiar with current events and what's going on, if you've paid attention, and do you actually live in your skin? They want to know, do you know you, right? And do you know how you feel about the world that you live in? Okay. So what if you don't know the answer? Ooh. Say so. Just say so. That's not hard. They don't expect you to know everything, right? There's so many different ways that you can say, I don't know. And you can use humor. You can lean in and say, gosh, I don't know. Tell me, right? You can, I do not know. I'm so embarrassed that I don't know. Do you know? Okay, no, we don't know. All right, well, we need to figure that out. No, but here's what I do know, right? And so then you can talk about the part of the topic that you do know something about, right? So there's lots of different ways to say, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. And it's okay. You just answer within your sphere of knowledge. I mean, you talk about what you do know because you do know lots of things. And so share what you do know, right? And you're still then maintaining calm. You are still maintaining your authority. You are still maintaining your leadership. And again, this is a conversation. Like if we were over coffee, this is not a test. It's not an exam. We don't expect you to get 100%. It's not that kind of an environment. This is not an interrogation. This is an opportunity over coffee. Like just pretend I'm having coffee with my judges and somebody says something. I don't know about that. No, tell me more. I'd like to know. Oh, I do know about that. Yeah, I heard about that. Wow, yeah, and you just have a conversation, just like if you and I were sitting here having a conversation right now. All right, so here's an exercise that I want you to try. You can do this with a family member, or you could even do it maybe with your phone if you just wanted to do it in that way. But look at another person and answer these 2 questions, okay? So I want you to answer the question, first of all, as an exercise. Why do you want to be Miss Title Holder? Okay, that's question number one. And the second question is, what legacy do you want to leave at the end of your year of service? What do you want to be remembered for? Okay, so answer those two questions, and you can go ahead and pause this video right now, just based off of what we've learned and what we've talked about. These two questions go to part of the 6 elements of the relaxed presence, right? In terms of your preparation for being ready to do this job. So why do you want to be Miss Title Holder, and what legacy do you want to leave at the end of your year of service? How you want to be remembered, okay? So go ahead and give that a try and see what you think. If you want to video yourself, or you want to play this game with a friend or with a family member, and then see what comes up. See what comes up for you. Just doing like a simple kind of interview with another person, and then congratulate yourself for doing a great job and having the courage to try it, okay? All right, recap. What have we learned? We're almost done with our time together today. We've learned, what is interview? We've learned, how are you supposed to relax and just be yourself, right? We've learned about the 6 elements of the relaxed presence, and we've learned how to avoid the 3 mistakes that will plague most of us. We now know what to expect that the judges might ask you, and we know how to handle the inevitable, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. So really, ladies, compared to where I was when I told you about my first interview experience, you should be soaring with confidence at this point, okay? So one last thing. I just want you to know that your judges are excited to get to know you, okay? They are not trying to trick you. They want you to have a great time, all right? So don't feel like when you're walking in, this is gonna be a test or a quiz, or they wanna grill you or make you uncomfortable or trip you up. That is not the case. Your judges, if they do put pressure on you, it's probably because they like you and they're checking to see if you can handle something a little more challenging. But they really want you to have a great interview. Okay? All right. So last thing I just want to mention here, we haven't talked about listening skills yet. All right. That is a key component with communication. How many know The Lost Art of Listening is actually a great book, and the first question in that book or directive in that book is seek first to understand and then be understood. So listen first, speak second. So excellent communicators have very, very strong, very disciplined listening skills, because a major component of excellent communication is the ability to listen fully engaged. All right, now most of us don't do this because we've got something kind of playing. We've got windows open back here while other people are talking. Even like when you're on stage during on-stage question, there's a lot of distractions, right? So you have to be very disciplined in your listening skills when you get to that point of the competition. Same is true with interview. When you walk in and you get that first question from the head judge, sometimes there's this moment where like the brain hasn't quite kicked in with the listening focus, and you're still thinking about, you know, the excitement and all of that as you were walking in, and you're still looking at your judges and kind of taking in the room, and that first question comes and maybe you haven't turned on your listening skills. So excellent listening skills engaged, and now you are turned on, and here we go. You are leaning in. You are focused. You are nodding with your judges as they're asking you a question. You're getting it, right? Your eyes are reacting. And this is how, as a judge, I know that you're with me, right? Because you're conversational, you're dynamic. I mean, this is not a posture of waiting for them to finish asking a question and then thinking. No, this is a posture of listening with every fiber and physically engaging with the person who's actually posing the question, including your MC when you get to the onstage portion, okay? Now, this is because a conversation with the MC, when we go to that place, we can sort of lean forward, we can face them, we can answer to them, and then bring in the audience as we respond, right? And finally, then we come back around and we sort of wrap up with the MC because they're standing there, right? Don't step away from them and then step away and then address the audience, right? There's a person standing here who asked you a question, and the most natural thing would be to be conversational with them, okay? So we're not giving a speech, right? We're talking to a person, and then we're talking to a group of people, and the more engaging we are, the easier it is for them to listen to us once we have clearly listened to what the question was in the first place. Now, let's talk about length with regard to onstage question. Now, in terms of the length of an answer, onstage questions should not get really lengthy, not any more lengthy than anything we've already said inside the interview room, right? We should listen, we should react, and we should share naturally when we've heard the completed question, all right? So with the CSI categorized, as we talked about earlier, with the negative impacts, or the problem, the negative impacts, and the resolution, you should quickly be able to key in on what it is that's being asked of you based off of your knowledge and your experience with your service initiative, so that you can react naturally and appropriately to the question that's being posed. I mean, how many pageant women have we sadly seen not answer the question? Or sometimes what women will do is they'll memorize a response to the question. Maybe they'll have 3 key points that they want to talk about, and they start listing those off, and oops, they'll forget one, or they'll forget what they were going to say or what they had memorized. And so then they sort of get lost in, oh darn, what was I going to say? And that's because maybe their listening skills weren't fully engaged, and so they didn't maybe hear the whole question, and so they didn't key off of the whole question. They just had that window in the back open. I know I want to say this about those 3 points, right? And so not being fully engaged, and then overthinking and having memorization getting in there and messing us up. We've lost all feeling at that point in terms of connection and synergy with the judges and the audience. And so really they were listening just to respond, and they weren't listening to be drawn into the topic so that they could then react and share naturally. And really, when we listen just to respond, I mean, that's when the rambling starts and the overthinking takes over, and then we're kind of just treading water trying to get out of this question, right? And so here's a little prep tip for you. When practicing onstage question, I would encourage you to react to actual questions. So I know sometimes when we go into rehearsal, or when we're working with someone else who's trying to sort of volunteer their time to help us out, maybe they'll ask fluff or silly questions. And so you pick up, I've got my pen here, you pick up your microphone and they'll say, so how do you feel about the weather today? That's not an onstage question, right? So it would be great if you could practice in reality, right? I mean, that's how we develop excellent speaking skills. So practice holding an object similar to a microphone. Have one of your pageant sisters watch you, or have someone video you, so that you can see any funny tricks that you do that might be distracting you. I tend to make big eyes. That's one of the things I do. Or touching, like over touching your hair, or maybe you have a thing that you do with your hand, and or maybe you kind of jerk the mic around, or maybe you bounce when you're nervous, or maybe you have a twitch in your knee. Maybe you shift your weight in a funny way, right? So some people talk with their lower body, but these are all weird things that we do, and it's good to be aware of them so that we can correct them and take them out before we actually get to competition. So we shouldn't be obviously robotically smiling through the whole response that we're giving during our onstage question, right? We want to respond with the right emotional energy and the right emotional weight for the question that we've been asked. The other thing you want to do is time yourself. Time yourself so you have a sense of what 20 seconds feels like. Because when you get the feeling of 20 seconds and you've only got 30, you should definitely be thinking, wrap it up, right? We don't want to go beyond what that allocated 20 to 30 seconds is that we are pro-offered. If you can't be more concise than that, shouldn't be a title holder. No, really, like, we just need to condense what it is that we have to say. The judges have already seen you in interview. What they're trying to see now is, can you clearly and concisely react to a topic that's posed to you about your CSI in front of an audience, and think quickly on your feet and give a really clear answer, right? So you should be able to get in and get out in that amount of time for onstage without issue, so long as you've practiced and you know what 20 seconds feels like, and you're really clear about how you want to language things around your service initiative, okay? Now, when I say practice, all right, You have to start talking. That's what I mean. You have to start languaging things. A key part of this growth opportunity is learning to react quickly and speak easily, all right? And that means starting to language things for yourself now. If you need to, what I like to do is I like to journal. I'll write how I feel and then I'll read it back to myself aloud, or sometimes I'll record myself talking about things and when I'm getting ready for an event or something. So journal it out. Write down topics that you want to be talking about. Think about the mental pictures that are tied to your service initiative when you think about the problem and the negative impacts and then the work that you want to do to resolve that problem. And write those things down or talk about it and record yourself talking about it, right? So once you begin to language these things or working through your sample CSI speech that I challenged you to do, and then video that, right? And then react to questions that anybody will ask you. Just ask them to, ask me a question, right? And just start to get practice reacting, so that your language comes quickly and your mind is sharp, so that you can easily get the words out. This should be exploding from your mouth. I know a lot of people will say, well, take the time to think about the question that was asked. That's really more about composing yourself so that you can give the question its proper weight. But if we're talking about something, again, that is not heavy or burdensome, right? Which some CSIs are very light and engaging. And so they might even be fun or funny when someone asks you a question about your service initiative, okay? So you don't necessarily have to pause and think and, wow, that seems effortful, right? Is she really ready to be a title holder, or she really had to think about that for a long time? Now, some questions do require more management to sort of get it all together in there. But for the most part, if you are engaged in your listening skills, your brain can process a lot faster than somebody can speak to you. And so you should be right there. I mean, you should be right there ready to go when they are done asking that question in terms of your emotional response and coordinating that thought organization. Okay? All right. So I'm going to wrap it up here at this point. That's a lot of information. Got a little extra in there with the listening skills and talking about on-stage question. But I just want to give you the opportunity to ask me any questions that you may have. Put those in the comments and anything that I haven't addressed so that your questions are answered and you feel confident walking into the interview process. This is just one quick overview on interview. I have more videos about interview available here, more Q&A obviously that I've done that are related to interview types of things. And so look for those, and I'll link a few in the description as well. But I wish you a great competition. You are probably going to hear more from me on YouTube here about other interview related topics. So keep an eye out for those. If you subscribe and ask for those notifications, obviously you'll have a chance to be able to be up to date on anything new that posts as we are following all of the new things that Miss America may offer us this year. And there may be changes, so I'll keep you up to date on that as well. And I promise I will respond to the questions that are in the comments, either with another video or directly to you. All right, that's all for now. Take care.